number of people don't really have the ability to pursue their own individual will because of the way society is set up. When some people get advantages from the beginning, some people are cast aside. That is the way that our society works, and libertarians just aren't very good at realizing that. From a woman's perspective, libertarians are selling a society that isn't free to them at all. And we shouldn't be surprised that they're not buying it. No amount of marketing is going to fix, it's going to sell a product that looks rotten from the start. I am going to close with some testimonials of thoughts from Thoughts on Liberty's readers. Again, as I remind you, we feature women's voices exclusively. One person writes, I love following your various political posts from Thoughts on Liberty. I've only really recently started caring about politics. It's taken me a while to realize it, as I just always thought I was some sort of a liberal, but I'm a libertarian. Someone else writes, I like Thoughts on Liberty because the writing is excellent and relevant to my life. I included that because I like that they sometimes write about feminism and identity politics. I don't like to be collectivized either, but the reality is that my life is very different from the life of a typical libertarian blogger. Read, white, male, straight. While I may agree with certain positions, I tend not to read blogs relating to them because they are stuffy and out of date. And then finally, and this is from one of our male peers, I just want to let you know in a private message that your blog has really opened people's eyes to libertarianism in my life where I've been sharing it. The kind of people who have been historically turned off by the rhetorical approaches of other blogs and society out there have finally come to understand the ideas of liberty. In its own way, it has succeeded others in providing folks access to ideas in a way that I think has been sorely neglected by too many in the liberty movement for too long. At Thoughts on Liberty, we've been able to appeal to readers and women in particular who otherwise wouldn't have even approached the ideas of liberty because of our ability to transcend the libertarian mainstream, which is right now sexist and ignoring things that women care about. We reject sexism actively. We give women a voice and a say, and we talk about things that women want to hear about. We listen. We engage. We reach across boundaries instead of asking people to come to us. And we're bringing women to liberty. It's time for everyone else to do the same. I'm happy to take questions. I imagine there will be a few. Yeah?
What do you think about Dr. Warren Farrell's views on the pay gap, basically stating that the pay gap, for the most part, is a myth, that a lot of it has to do with statistics which are done improperly. Mainly, one of them had to do with, they would look at female doctors and male doctors, and they say, oh, look, there's this deviation in incomes, but women were less likely to specialize, and they were also more likely to be pediatricians, while men were more likely to do pulmonology and neurology,
Yeah.
which created kind of that artificial line there. Not only that, women were also less likely to ask for things like
Pay raises and stuff. Right.
higher wages, and men were also more likely to work for longer hours in salaried positions.
Yeah. So the question is, for those of you guys in the other side of the room, basically is, what do I think of the very many different opinions on the gender wage gap? It's very multi-layered. So the statistic that you hear most often quoted is that women make about 33% of what men do. That is coming from the United States Census Bureau. It's a very basic statistic, taking the average salary of men to the average salary of women. As again, this goes back to the idea of women, libertarians need to start looking at society and what society does and says to women that causes gaps. So while it may be true in a lot of cases that women are making choices that excuse me, lead to lower pay, we have to ask why they feel the need to make those choices. So one of the biggest problems I see is our society, like I said, demands that women are still the caretakers of the family and the home. And with that pressure on them, it's they have to ask for things like flexible time, which they trade for less pay. They have to be very aware of the way that their careers go, because if they want to be a high corporate power CEO, it takes a lot of man hours to do that, and they're still expected to bear the burden of raising a family. I will also say that there have been studies done that show that there is some discrimination, just outright gender discrimination in hiring. A couple of years ago, there was a double-blind study where researchers gave people hiring for an entry-level science job, not like a lab tech, but like you've got a PhD and you're going to go do research. And they gave a list of resumes that had the same content to these hiring managers. One set had women's names, one set had men's names, and the difference was shocking. The exact same resume with a man's name was given a job or a higher salary almost, I think it was like 70 or 80% of the time than the set of women's salaries. So to your question, I think there is a lot to be said about the varying different positions of the gender wage gap. I think that dismissing it as, oh, women are just making choices, completely glosses over the fact that there are lots of things, the way that our society is set up, that unfairly pushes women to make choices in such a way that if we had a freer, less stringent gender roles and that sort of thing, they wouldn't have to make.
And you don't think any of those gender roles are in any way biological? Like saying that it's a burden to raise a family rather than some beneficial thing to raise a family? Because I mean, I think feminism kind of pushed that to where it made it look bad for women to stay at home to raise a child, and instead kind of push children into public schools.
Mm-hmm. I definitely will answer that question, but then I'm going to move on. So there's a common misconception, like with libertarianism, that feminism is a single ideology. It's not. If you guys don't know about it, there is the Association of Libertarian Feminists, which is a great organization. They're doing great things. They think different things than your typical quote-unquote statist second-wave libertarians, feminists, or your third-wave feminists who are very focused on social change. So that's point A. Point B is that there are many people looks like a free person that we want to see in the world. Does that make sense? Right there.
I know you're rolling like at the end of your speech, so I don't know if you meant to go this hard, but when you say something like that we should empower women to get into prostitution and commoditize their body and sell it, right? Aren't you playing into the objectification of women, and aren't you also playing into traditional gender roles of women are the prostitutes and men pay them?
Sure, absolutely. So, first of all, I said that I wasn't saying that we should encourage women to go into prostitution, but
You said they should be empowered to go into
that is not
prostitution.
what I said.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
That's why I said I didn't know if you were rolling or if you meant to say that.
If it came out of my mouth, that is not what I meant. So what I'm talking about is that, and maybe this is where the empowerment comes from. So if women want to go into prostitution, then they A, should be free to do so, and B, should feel encouraged in the same way that any other career choice would be encouraged for a woman. The idea that sex is bad or sinful or anything to, or sinful is a bad word, is bad or harmful or anything is not something I think that is consistent with an idea of liberty that I would support. Because I think when we boil the idea of liberty down to it is that when people act and they aren't hurting other people, then that is not something that should be interfered with. And so I take a very quote unquote liberal approach to sex and prostitution, in that should be treated like any other job, any other career path,